All right, family, welcome. We've got some people out due to sickness, but they usually watch on the recording. Glad you guys could show up for Jérémy, who's, now I want to brag on Jérémy. I feel like a midget next to Jérémy business-wise, and I don't consider myself a little business guy, but next to Jérémy, I do. He went to Stanford School of Business, and he's launched this amazing notebook system. And I've been eager to learn more about it. You know, we all get busy, so it seems like the best way to learn something is to invite them to our family sessions here and give them a chance to really go through it. So what we're going to do is listen carefully to him like we normally do, and then pelt him with considerate questions. And Jérémy, please take the floor. Eager to hear from you.
Thank you so much, Tom. And yes, guys, feel free to interrupt me, to cut everything I say whenever I say it. You know, don't worry about it. I'm happy to just cut the conversation and come on any points you guys have. So I'm really glad to be here because I've been following what's going on in this family for some time now, and I've really learned a lot from the different Slack channels and things that I can read. So thank you guys for welcoming me here. So as you said, Tom, my name is Jérémy, and I'm basically a non-tech guy, but I came to tech due to the problems I faced all my career. So to make you a bit of context, originally I'm more like a creative guy. I'm more like I like reading books, I like history, I like music. Like I'm really the kind of guy which like the data when it's written or visual. And I did some change in my way of seeing everything when I had to make a loan for business schools I went in before Stanford. And it was 2009. It was the financial crisis. And I got to learn about all the financial system, how it works. I got very curious because anytime I'm facing a problem, like having a loan from the bank, I'm kind of deep diving into the subject, and I'm learning the whole thing as much as I can. So once I got this loan, I entered a business school and I focused on cash management, which is for me the real only asset tangible that is like something you can understand easier than all these markets and everything. So understand that at this point, I didn't know anything about data. I thought I was entering the market in an automated world inside companies that have everything automated, where all the data is here and where I can do my analyst work, which is grabbing the essential value of the data and providing the insights to business users. I thought we were in like Minority Report already. And then I came short on this because I realized that data was the real topic behind finance, and that this data was not easy to get, collect, analyze, distribute. So I came on this problem of how to manage data when you have every week reportings from different entities from all over the world that are sending you Excel spreadsheet and that you want to consolidate to create a business reports. So on this front, I quickly learned that you need to manage data in a certain way. You need to take care of your data. You need to organize it a certain way. You need to refine it a certain way so you can calculate metrics that are interesting to people so that they can take decision. So my view on data was always very decision driven. Like, how can I provide this data to the decision maker in a timely manner, in an accurate manner, and in a nice display so he can take the decision. So all my short, like corporate business life was about providing insights to decision makers and providing it at the speed of light, basically, because those business decision makers, they have ideas all the time. They want to have iteration all the time. They want to have new version of your report all the time. So my only tool at that point was Excel and a bit of VBA. I quickly came short with this because how can I really like document the transformation of my data? How can I really distribute this data in an Excel spreadsheet, but also in an image or in an email or in a dashboard in any BI tool? How can I distribute this data in different like channels? And another thing was, how can I really like scale my work? Meaning, how can I automate and repeat the same analysis that I've done once in Excel? How can I repeat it? And all those problems like auditability, observability, we call it those days, distribution in multiple channels, and scaling of this reports or analysis that I was making, was not able to do it inside a single environment. It was a BI tool, it was an Excel, it was a query on a database. And I realized that the notebook was actually the document where I could do all of that. And I fall in love with the notebook at that time. Like literally, the first time I downloaded it to my Jupyter account and installed it on my computer, I was like, oh, finally, I can, in this document, which is the notebook, I can document the transformation. I can explain it into Markdown. I can do even formulas and do a bit of Latex and everything. I can really write down and document the whole transformation process so that when my boss is asking me whatever data he needs, I can have my notebook ready and be ready to explain him all the transformation I've applied on all those different data sets needed for the calculation of this particular metric that he wants to follow. So this was a game changer. You need to, like, I know that you guys are coming from more the technical side of it. And so it's easy for you to grasp how interesting it is. But for us coming from the business, discovering code through a notebook is probably the easiest way to discover code, because you're scared about like a black screen, you're scared about a terminal, you just want to have a clean document looking nice that you can play different cells and have like all the necessary output that you want without the noise of too much code everywhere that you want. You will basically fear of touching any part of it. So this idea was very key to us in the team, that somehow the notebook was the environment where we wanted to stay, to be able to invite other business people to look at the notebook with us and understand what was the transformation about, and also bridge the gap with all the technical data science stuff that is also done in the notebook. So Kimberly, if you want to ask anything, or just, I saw that you guys have the mic on. Just stop me anytime you want to discuss any point, right?
Oh, just keep going, Jeremy. I'm sure no one will have trouble interrupting you at all.
Cool. Just go ahead. So basically, this is the whole beginning of the story. I discovered Jupyter Notebook coming from Excel, and now I kind of enjoy the way I use the notebook in my computer. But there is still a problem. Now I'm selling my services to people that wants to like have this power of code inside their financial reporting process, and my notebook stay on my computer. So I'm blocked. I need to unlock this because I want this notebook to be available on the cloud, not only on my computer. So this is the first version of NaaS, was a small DigitalOcean server where we put a Jupyter instance and we were running it in the cloud, and we were happy about it because we would be able to like access it from different points and not only on our computer. But quickly it became a bit short on automation. We wanted to automate this notebook to be able to deliver an insight on the schedule base every day at 9 to our business users. Like a kind of a report you want to have every morning on your desk at 9. And this was not possible until you know about DevOps, you know about like cron task, about deploying everything, putting it into a Python file. It was kind of a big gap for someone that is coming from, business rules, writing some business rule in Python, having your script figured out, but deploying it is another game. It's like, you need to be much more technical. So we were like, oh, how could we like run notebook in production, run notebook on a daily basis, on a scheduled basis, but without having all the pain, without being like in a situation where you need to learn how to deploy a Docker machine into a specific server and all that DevOps part of the job. And we looked at what was on the market at that point. It was 2017, 18 at that point where we started looking at it. And in fact, Netflix was making some research and some jobs on the notebook to schedule it in production using Peppermill. Peppermill is now very known in the game, but at the very beginning, it was new to us. So we tried to install on that little DigitalOcean server some like microservices around it, and like, oh, but that works pretty good. Now we have something we can run on schedule every day. So we have our reports automated and delivered to our business users. And we don't need any IT guys to help us out. We have no dependencies. We can deploy it on the go. And so we really were amazed by the ability to like do everything inside the same ecosystem. And we tried to think about all the other things we needed to put the notebook in production. So scheduler is one thing. You want a cron task every day at 9 to like run your notebook. But you also want some notebook to be triggered when an action is done from another system. So we deployed the webhook function. The webhook, whenever something happens, can trigger your notebook and run this notebook. But also at the end of the day, you want to share an asset. You want to share a graph, and you want this graph to be shareable with the link. So we created the asset feature, and so on. We developed like 6 features that are critical for any kind of notebook to be run in production. So if I just share maybe my screen now with you to show you better, this is what is now the key features of NaaS, which are the scheduler, the webhook, the asset, notification, the callback, dependencies, and secret keys. All those features we have originally developed to serve the use case of how can I run notebook in production without having to do anything else than stay in my notebook. So as you can see, the whole idea was to make it very simple. So we made it as simple as this little formula: nas.scheduler.add and the cron syntax. So by just putting this into my notebook, I run the notebook every day. What this little formula is doing is it is taking your current state of your notebook, putting it into a production folder, and the NaaS instance will check if there is something to execute at the cron value, at the cron value you have put inside those parentheses. So this is what's running in the backend. But for you, it's just a simple notebook where you put this formula, and by running it, it will tell you, hey, well done, your notebook has been sent to production. It will be scheduled at 1 every day. That's it. Once you start using this, you realize that you want to have other features like asset sharing and all that stuff I told you about. I will show you some demos about it. But the whole very beginning of the idea is this, like how to build low-code features. It's very simple formulas you can plug into your current notebook to run the notebooks as a bot, basically, as a small bot. After that came the whole drivers, because we wanted to have the same level of interaction with all the tools we use. So we started developing some features, some drivers. And one of them was the Google Sheet driver. We were using Google Sheet a lot. So we figured out that this little formula with spreadsheet ID, sheet name, and NaaS driver.gsheet, and this little formula with this little formula, we were able to connect to any Google Sheet. Whereas if you don't have this thing, you need to download a JSON, configure it with Google, make a microservice, do a lot of stuff, which is kind of painful. So anytime we were facing problems connecting to tools or having too much Python code, we're trying to abstract those complexities into our Python packages that are, at the end of the day, those little low-code formula I'm talking about. So this is how the project now is structured. You have three key elements on NaaS, which is the low-code features that are around the Jupyter instance to enable you to schedule and to run your notebook in production. You have the low-code drivers that are here to connect to different tools. And on the third element, which is the one we are now focusing a lot on, is templates. Because we realize as much as we grew, we grew like, now we have more than 2,500 users that has been logged into our freemium account on NaaS. It's like a Google Colab thing. You can just connect, run. It's like I can show you. It's like a Jupyter Lab instance. We didn't do anything else. We are just adding those microservices that run in the backend, and this is kind of the kind of environment we wanted. We had it on our computer. It was looking like this. We wanted the same experience. We wanted it to be the same, but hosted somewhere with extra features to really be able to deploy and do more stuff with the notebook. So yeah, coming back to this, you now understand, maybe and ask me question if you have some, but that the three foundational elements of NaaS are those features, those drivers, and those templates, serving different purpose, running stuff in production for the features, integrating to different tools with the drivers, and have some ready-to-use templates that have full-fledged use case for you to start your data project, not from zero, but from an actual template you can play with. And this is what we are now building with the community. So if you check out the GitHub, here you can see those three repositories, which are the templates, the drivers, and the features. And here we have open sourced more than 200. Last year, we started last year. So since last year, we open sourced like 200, 500 notebooks, templates, so that anyone can just figure out the tool they are using and start with the template from zero. So if I'm looking to get some data from LinkedIn, for example, I would be able to get all my stats from my profile by simply using this template. I can see the template in GitHub. And as you can see, it's very like simple and neat in this one, because we also, like, LinkedIn is one of the drivers. So we managed to build a driver to get the post feed in literally one line of code. And once I click on open in NaaS, then it will bring the whole like hosted instance ready to run the template you want. So right here, it's downloading the template, and you're entering this Jupyter Lab instance, and you can open the template you have downloaded, start replacing your cookies, LEAT, Jupyter profile, and get the list of your posts by just running this template without doing anything else. So yeah, this is the whole idea. Now that you have the features, now that you have the drivers, you can also do add a scheduler here, and you will be running a query that every day goes into your LinkedIn, pull the data, and give you a data frame that you can use in different other contexts. So for example, for this LinkedIn use case, in my case, what I do is I use this thing to pull all my content inside Notion, which is the tool I use with my team. And I have all my posts here with the engagement rate, views, likes, comments, etc. And I can do this by using the template that is right here called LinkedIn to Notion templates. I may have it here. So right here, LinkedIn Notion update metrics. So when I use this, I would get the whole template. And this is a combination of features, drivers, and of course, template. So yeah, we got it. We're gonna have it here. So what this template is doing, and this is an important part I didn't tell, but every template is structured a certain way. So you may have seen me post some things on how you need to write notebook in a certain way so people can understand. All our templates are always structured the same way, input, model, and output, meaning you can read the template and really like know what to do. So you need to set up your cookies, your profile, your token for Notion, your database ID. And just by running this, your model will check your cookies, get the calendar data in Notion, get the post from LinkedIn, get the post stats, and update all of that in the output section. So every template should like get this framework so that whenever you enter the NaaS templates, you always know what to expect. You always know that you will have an input, a model, and an output section. So why are we doing all this, basically? We want to, so what we think is like today, all those notebook as a service solution, they do have the capabilities of running in the cloud, and it's nice. But for people who want to like start a data science project, they need to have some shortcuts. They don't want to learn about DevOps, about deploying servers yet. They want to use a simple formula to schedule the notebook they know they can use, because they all start, everything starts from the notebook. And also we want to gather a big, like we want to gather all the potential notebooks that are interesting to people inside a verified repository where you have all the use cases or templates you need to start from to serve business use cases in a very efficient way. With this clarity of how to display, how to organize a notebook with this input, model, and output section. So at the end of the day, if you compare us to Colab or to DeepNote or to X or to other notebook as a service solution that are in the market, we are differentiating by this idea of having the whole library of templates ready to use, and the power features that I've talked to you about on the low-code drivers and the low-code features that enable you to like build products and ship like actual data products without going out of your notebook environments. And I think it's really what motivates us the most, is like being able to get this environment ready to use, so you don't spend time as a data scientist, engineer, or even as a business people entering a subject when it has already been done by someone else before. So this is the whole power also of open source. Like if we manage with the community to build this big catalog of templates, we can wish that more people can get into the field, understand better how data science works, because it's still very confined to a bunch of people that know how to deal with code and a lot of technicalities. But as a business guy coming to this world of data science, I still believe that we need to bring more people from the business inside the field so that we can just grow as a whole and do more and better decision making thanks to data, basically. That's the whole topic and goal, I guess. So maybe Tom, I should stop now talking and get some question in and you know.
Yeah, let's take a question from Kim.
Yep.
Hey, first of all, Jeremy, this is amazing. It's really, really cool. I really like this. But it makes me ask so many questions. So for example, when you're putting this together and you're thinking about your end users, and you know, from my perspective, it's any developer, any engineer, but how are you helping them to then incorporate this into whatever environment they're working on? And how, for example, if they're building something based on the open network, how are you achieving security? And is this more of like a personal tool that they're to use, or is it something that you're really trying to incorporate into larger businesses so that you get that market?
Yes, exactly. So the idea is to tap into the market of those people who, like, you want to start from somewhere when you do build a data science project, and often you don't know where to start. You're just grabbing some piece of code somewhere. So what we really want to focus on now is having this library so people can see that there is options of ready to use templates, and then start with the freemium account that we provide. We provide 100. It's completely free if you run Notebook as a Google Colab. But if you use the features like the scheduling features or the other features I've talked about, then you start debiting your account from the amount of dollars you have credited inside the NaaS instance. So it's completely free to use when it's on the development aspect. And then it's a credit-based system based on 1 minute of compute equal 1 credit. So the idea is to be a bit like some kind of DBT, because what we want to do is for security reason, we just, if we can, we just want to be plugged into some like database warehouse process, make the compute and send it somewhere else. We have no intention of getting the data inside the file system that is here. It's only to store all the notebook, all the logic that you want to apply to your different use cases. So it's, in a way, what we see is that everything under the modern data science stack is covered, like ingestion, transformation, storage. This is good. We have some good stuff. But once you reach that point where you need to make use of the data, you still want to iterate and get some data out and make some iteration, deliver to the business, do it fast. And at some point, the speed of iteration you need to do with the business is not the same as the one that you do when you have proper software engineering. Like, my boss was changing ideas every single day, even 3 times a day, he changed his way of seeing the data. So how can I cope with that with the proper software engineering process? He will just kill me, like, to understand that now he needs to go to 2-3 days of like QA and test and validation. He wants to have the insight very fast. So I guess that we are covering a spot which is not yet fully I would say covered, except by those no-code tools, which are Tableau, Power BI, those things.
Would you say it's fair to say that it's like a middleware then? That it's almost like a software as a service middleware?
Yes, yes. It's a kind of an ad hoc query engine that you can run as you wish to build stuff, make sure it's sticking. And then when it's sticking and you need to do a proper thing to package it, you can go into the proper software engineering process, because you need to know fast if it's working or not with your end users. And I guess this is the best way to do it. Like, stay in your notebook, focus on your notebook, iterate fast, use these little formulas to make your notebook run on schedule, and you will like save a lot of time in the process.
So one last question, sorry. So when you're making iterations to your notebook and you're making changes, does it automatically save the changes, or only when you refresh it at the scheduled time?
It does, because what we do is whenever the notebook is running here, for example, in my local file, I have this production folder, and the production folder is storing all the versions of you iterating on this notebook when you use the formula. So if, as you can see here, I have the output timestamped. So this means that you're not losing on the versions. Even if you're not versioning on GitHub, you can have it on your production folder. But we do encourage everyone to use GitHub and version their code any single time they do, even if it's notebooks. Notebooks should be versioned the same way that a Python file is versioned. This is what we do believe in, but we have seen it working. Because at the end of the day, you can package little products with NaaS that you wouldn't have the bandwidth to do if you were doing a proper software engineering thing. Like you can do little tools, package it nicely, version it into GitHub, make the folders necessary to like build your small tool, and then see if it needs to have more like stronger backbone, then you can move it to something else. But we really want to fix the you know, this part where you need to iterate fast and deliver to the business, and we are on the mission to make these templates available and usable by people not coming from the data science space. Like, hey, I can use this notebook from NaaS, just change my variables because I understand that variables are in the input section. So I can change this thing, just run the notebook and go. I can have my product running. You don't need to develop anything else. You just need to like train your team to use notebooks and iterate fast on templates, so everybody can use the same like medium to get the data and understand what's going on.
Yeah, you know what you need? You need like a massive company to take this on, so that you can see what happens when it's actually done on large scale production. Because you know, you should try and go to like Y Combinator and try and get them to fund it. It would be awesome because I think that a lot of the tech startup places, they understand this technology, they understand what you're trying to do. And really, you just need a massive client, like a massive multinational organization, to really take this to the next level.
Yeah, that's it. But so far, what we are building is much more related to community. So this is where I'm coming to. Like, open source is key to this model. We want people to be able to like contribute and give some notebooks to the repository, like very naturally. So Alok, for example, is making some he is a contributor. He has contributed to some notebooks already. So what we need first to do before someone take over, and hopefully someone will take over someday with a lot of funds, is to really like open the doors of the community of the people in the data space. Because there is another thing I've spotted is like, oh, too much people want to enter into the data game, but they don't have any portfolio. They don't have anything running. They don't like what's the proof you've actually contributed to the whole data space? So Awesome Notebook repository is here for that. We want to help people in the data space come and execute this roadmap we have, because we gathered more than 500 templates ready to be built. We are going to like open source this list pretty soon, because the whole idea is to, on the creator side, empower all the data science creators, and on the consumer side, be like, hey guys, you can just use this template, it's ready to use. We know that at some point the creators would need to bundle different templates, try to twist some models, add some functions, but at least the very beginning of the project will be here, and you will have some really nice templates to be able to start on. No more Stack Overflow, going into some place, getting some code that are not working. We want this to be like a secure and safe way to start your data science project using templates.
Fantastic.
Can I ask a question?
Yes, of course, Denise.
You know, we talked together, and I'm still thinking, well, you know how I am. I'm still thinking that you should, of course, I agree with your whole process and funding and community. That's one way to do it. But I still think that, well, that's the way I did it. that you should find one domain, like, you know, in the supply chain. Remember, we were talking about this company, and he had things
Yes.
in Asia, and then be domain specific for one topic and generate a lot of profit for that company, and then have a sort of, I would say, one template called, you know, like supply chain optimization of one part of the supply chain. Like, and then if you had that, well, then you can sell it as a solution to a lot of people. You don't need funding, because Kimberly is right. Once you get into one of these big corporations, you can spend your life in them. I did that, like, for 20 years in a couple of corporations, and they just would pay my bills every year. So I would say, just, you know, like, I'll give you an example. There's something going on right now, you know, in Europe, a conflict. Okay, I don't want to get into this, into anything political, but what I'm saying is, if I look at this as a supply chain perspective, I wrote a model a few days ago to understand how this was going to end up. Like, suppose now one of these companies you were talking about, we were talking about a specific company at one time. There's going to be a disruption in the supply chain. Okay, there's going to be a big disruption in the supply chains for any kind of resource going anywhere, whether it's transportation, natural resources. So if I'm so I have an engine that did this, and it's still running. And I just added a constraint, which is a random lack of resources, and how to circumvent that problem by creating an alternative route. See what I mean? So it would be like, you have like 20 suppliers, and then one goes wrong, and you automatically get the other one, and you have statistics for its prices and all that. Well, you know, I'm supply chain oriented, but what I'm saying is, if you could generate profit on one topic like that, wow, you know, it would give you won't need funding.
Sure.
So let's go back to the roadmap. Don't worry about me.
No, I wanted to circle back on this, because, okay, what we thought of first, and with you, was, let's try to figure out like a kind of one subject where we can deep dive.
But not abandon your idea of community and having a lot of users.
So this was very important to us when we started by doing a consulting business, right? So NaaS emerged from this consulting business where we were stuck into Jupyter Notebook. The Python script was not put in production fast with the IT teams, so we were like, okay, we're not going to do it on our own system. And the whole idea now is to stop being so focused on like one, let's say, one big corporation, because we want to serve the many and help out people to be more empowered than they are now, to build on top of what we can provide. We see what we do more as a commodity for people, as something that we would have loved to have when we started in data science, which is templates to really get things done fast, and then move forward to the engines. Because you're right, and totally right, Denis, the game is in the engines you build, like the real one. It's how good your engines are. But engines are on our roadmap.
Did you just see Kimberly's comment?
No.
Yeah, read what Kimberly just wrote. Always listen to Kimberly.
Yes, but what you need to understand is we are only.
You can do both. You can do both. Yeah,
we cannot. Like we at this point, it's hard for us to do both, because we always try to do both last year, and we were continuously losing focus on the community, because as much as we concentrate on one topic, we are losing the focus on the community. So we have people that are interested in contributing in more templates, getting this done, getting mentoring. You know, we have all this notebook framework with input, model, output to check if everything is nicely, properly done, if it's run properly. There is a whole overhead on the open source community management that we can only absorb with this little team.
I see.
That's the main problem we face now. So what we wanted to do at the end of the day is serving other people with things that are much more efficient than what we currently went through, which is a journey where we had to go into like blogs and Stack Overflow and copy pasting code and trying to figure out if it's working or not. Now we want to have all those libraries of data science templates ready to be used on different topics. And on those templates, we can build engines. And imagine
engines. That's right. I just noticed. You can have engines under there.
Yes. So the whole idea is to be
the problem is, the thing is, I sold mine. It's not mine anymore. Otherwise, my engine could have powered every segment you have up there. I'd have to write another one.
Yeah, I guess so. But you see, this is our roadmap, basically. So we started with the platform, with the microservices. We deployed the infrastructure in AWS. We built these local features.
Maybe you could connect some powerful transformers. One transformer model, one powerful under all of them.
Yes, that's what we are actually thinking we can do once we have a bigger team and some ability to finance the best expert in town.
Yeah.
So
well,
yes.
you know what's really great is that you'll actually build out your community using this, and you'll be able to see who could help with that. I mean, in a way, you've got yourself your own feeder system, because as this develops more and as it becomes more efficient and as people are using it, you'll be able to find all of that out. It will become organic.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. So at the end of the day, what we want to strengthen now, and where we need help, is in getting like people interested in different subjects that we spot to be the most important ones. So there is all this creator aspect of the templates are related to content creation. How do I get my likes, comment, post, views, everything together, so I can calculate my engagement rate? I've shown you on this Notion database that I can calculate the engagement rate and see what's working, what's not, and how I can like do better content. But then comes the templates where you have the marketing templates, and this is more about I create content. Now how can I use this content to convert to my landing page so I can have a good click rate and have some people sign up into my product. Once I get there, I need to plug into the CRM system, or the Salesforce, HubSpot, whatever thing you need to do to get your sales pipeline and to be able to maybe project the number of deals you will close at the end of this month. Those are the templates that are well identified. And then we have all this internal, when the sales is done, you need to make sure the operations are running properly, your finance, you're connected to your banks, that your investors are happy because you can automatically send them reports, and that you keep an eye on all the open data available, because right now, if you use only your company's data to understand your business, you're losing out on so many other data, and you just don't know a lot of stuff to make your decision-making accurate. We really believe into open data, and one segment we wanted to focus on at first was the open data segment, to make sure we can feed companies with many different kind of open data templates. But still, we've been trying to address all the different feedback we got last year in one coherent roadmap. And this is how we came up with this roadmap, where at the end of the day, you take all the different templates, you bundle them into engines, and you can really start helping out the decision makers by sending him signal like, oh, this is the red stoplight. You need to check out this metric because we have some things to show you. And we really see that as a logical way of slowly going to the engines, which are the last features, the last mile to serve business, and even more with NLP, Denise, with all the natural language, we can even go with wishes of like being able to talk to some computers one day, where we can ask for the sales versus last year, and hopefully you have a template ready for that, so you can get the information easier.
Yeah, of course.
So we really believe that templates can be a building block of and a scaling block for AI engines to be developed. Because if you kind of formalize the whole template below, then you can really have you can have fun on the engines. Like, how much weight do I put to this metric? How much weight do I put to the other metric? And how this thing can work on and send me a notification once this event happened. And everything you can do this, if you can do this inside notebooks and prototype things very easily inside your notebooks and make it run in 2 days versus 20 weeks, then it's making a lot of sense to serve the business faster.
Yeah, good job.
So, Jérémy, you came to our linear algebra class beforehand, which ended up being very helpful for some questions I wanted to ask you. I confess, I'm really bad this way, Jérémy. I've been playing with NaaS while you were talking, and I realized now I'm going to have to re-watch the recording so I can see all the cool stuff you were saying. I mean, I was catching some of it, but then I realized,
we can do.
Oh, you idiot, Tom, you should have been watching Jérémy instead of playing with NaaS. But I wanted to let everyone know my biggest frustration with Colab was the editor. And Jérémy's has fixed that. You can do multi-cursors in each cell. It's so much better. And then just when you click from cell to cell to change the editing.
Like this?
Yes. No, wait a minute. How did you do that? Because I was having trouble with the rectangular. There was
you go this.
Oh no, wait.
You press on control if you're on Windows.
Control Alt. Yeah.
And you do like this.
Yeah, you can do rectangular select. You can do multi-cursor.
Multi-cursor is here.
The one thing that you can do in Colab's editor is Control-Shift-L, and then all that does is open up another launcher in NaaS. Whereas in Google Colab, if you have something highlighted and you do Control-Shift-L, it will highlight all the other versions of that in the cell. But if I had to choose between the two, I would take the instantiation you've used, which is the multi-cursor, because it's much more flexible.
You can actually change your command lines, because you didn't understand it's a classic and it's the most up-to-date version of the actual JupyterLab instance.
Okay.
So we didn't do anything else than hosting it into AWS. What we did differently was these microservices for scheduling, for notification, etc. So maybe I should show you guys a full-fledged example, if it's something that can interest you.
Please.
So I always kind of like to take external data for that. So here is an example. so you want to to create prediction for like the oil and gas for oil, let's say. So we have a template for that in the NaaS manager, which can be accessible here, where you can actually search for templates that are like Yahoo Finance, which is one source. And in this Yahoo Finance, you can find the prediction and click on open in NaaS. This will open this notebook where you can actually change a few variables. So coming back to the framework, always the same thing. All the variables need to be in the input section. So you have a ticker, which is the oil ticker. And I would like to instantiate that this image I will output will have the name of the ticker. So I'm going to put it here. Then I have some parameters, which are my email. And I can send it from another email, but I don't want to do this. So I just keep it like this. And so let's go on this. So you can note the use of Markdown for us to be like, hey, here you can change the ticker in the data frame with all the usability in mind of other people. Like other people can jump into this and use it. Then you have the Yahoo Finance driver that can get you the data from the different variables you've used. And then we have fun with some very naive prediction on some ARIMA, SVR, linear regression that we package also into a prediction driver. So once you do that, you can get the whole data frame with your data frame from Yahoo and some added like columns for ARIMA, linear regression, and all that. Then you want to build a chart. So this is going to be your chart. We also have a template for that, for a driver for that, where you can actually build the chart very easily. So here I am. I don't know if you see everything right here. So here I am. I have my chart. Then I can just do some variations to understand what are the values that I want to focus on. The price yesterday, the price of now, the price of yesterday, some variation now versus yesterday. And then I want to format some values because at the end of the day, I want to send an email to my boss. So I want to like just make sure everything is nice and clean with the $sign and everything. And I want to also export it in Excel because my boss wants me to like, he really wants to like be able to get the Excel spreadsheet. So I'm also gonna create this Excel spreadsheet from the data frame I've created. I want to also generate an image to be able to share an asset. And an asset is the image or the HTML. So if I copy this URL, and this is the feature you can only find in NaaS, I can just be like, oh, this is my asset. I've created one file in my local machine. Now, by using only this formula of naas.asset.add with the output image I've generated above, and this little parameter with inline true, I can actually build a static graph, or I can do a dynamic graph. And if I share it with you guys here, you guys can access it as well. So this is also the good power of this asset. So this is very naive prediction, but you can just see how it looks in a few lines of code. Then I want to create a webhook. I'm going to show you why right after that.
Dynamic graph.
Yeah.
In what way did you mean it was dynamic? Just that you could share it.
It's
real
a
time
PNG versus HTML.
Excellent.
Like I would say static versus, I generated two links. I've did one image, one HTML. So then I have my things ready. I want to create my webhook because I want to trigger this notebook from somewhere else. So meaning that if I'm using this URL, I can trigger the notebook from here, just by launching this URL, just by clicking on this URL. So that's enabled my notebook to be run and developed.
I also wanted to share with everyone, I do a lot of markdown cells that have LaTeX math in them. And Jérémy, I didn't have to do any special setup for that. I did initially in Colab, maybe, and it persisted in Colab, which surprised me. But all of the LaTeX just works in NaaS. That's great.
Yes. Yeah. As I told you, it's very important for us to be the closest version possible of what you actually have when you download the original Jupyter project. This is one of the requirements we have. So there is collaboration features coming in. We're soon gonna have them also in NaaS. Anytime because we want to stay very close to the Jupyter original work, right? We just want to augment the notebook with other features, not reinvent the wheel.
Jérémy, did NaaS start out not being able to be a cloud service? In other words,
sorry,
when you started, has NaaS always been notebooks on the cloud, or
no?
did it start? Okay.
No. You can also download it. We can be seen also as a distribution on your local machine.
Right. No, I get that. What I'm asking is, did you start with just distribution on your local machine and then add the cloud's capabilities?
Yes.
So when you and I first talked, you didn't have the cloud capabilities. Yes. And I noticed when I loaded it today, I went, it's on the cloud. Mm-hmm. And I was really pleased by that for many reasons. But I'm curious, I noticed when I was looking at the resources that it assigned me, let's see. Oh, I'm still learning here. I'm a newbie. Getting back to where I was trying to look at, I'm sorry, I'm sitting here trying to learn as I go. Can you change the resources? Can you check out GPUs yet?
Yes, we can add some GPUs, but we are not yet, we have the ability to do it on our side, but we don't have yet the capability of letting the users do it on their side. Right now, what you have when you're using the freemium account, you have CPU and dedicated resources that are assigned to you. But if you talk to us about what your requirements are, it's like we are a small team. We can talk to each other and arrange on any kind of people that have some necessities of going further.
And I've noticed you have Git integration.
Yes, very, very important. For the whole contribution workflow, we use Git all the way.
And then the other thing I noticed, with my account, I closed everything out, I opened it back up, and my files persisted.
Yes.
So you don't always get that with Colab. You're lucky if you get that with a Colab session. Like if you closed everything down, came back, or even if it disconnected and you came back later, you might have to re-upload your data files, for example. But with NaaS in the cloud, they'll persist a reasonable amount of time. Okay, that's really great.
The only thing we will do is we will shut the kernel after 15 minutes of complete inactivity, meaning you're not here, because we are an infrastructure company at core. We are managing this thing, and my CTO Maxim has it very straight to optimize the whole ecosystem live using Docker and Kubernetes inside AWS.
Yeah, let me say bye to Kim. Kim, we were glad you could stop by. And I think the whole family is going to want to grow at this too. Dolly was just sharing. Oh, do you want to say anything before you go, Kim?
No,
Okay.
just bye. Thanks so much, Jeremy. This is so cool. This is so
Thank
cool.
you. Thank you,
Bye,
Kimberly.
Kimmy.
Bye.
And then Dolly was just saying, Colab doesn't have that. Always re-uploading. I agree, Dolly. And one of the reasons why I love NaaS as well. So cool. Okay, so we've got a lot of out-of-the-box things just work, like LaTeX math. I noticed my Matplotlib plots work just fine. By the way, I did a bang symbol and did a pip install, no problem. Thank you for that.
If you have any problem, you just use --user and you have the right to install pretty much everything you want. So we are managing the libraries necessary for NaaS on a separate container. So you are free to go with whatever you want to install.
Okay, I'm gonna just try that real quick. I can't help but experiment. Now, one thing, okay, I will say this, Jeremy, and maybe y'all could add this. When you hover over a Colab cell, if you hover near the top of it, it shows a add code, add text, or really it means markdown. Or if you hover below, and that means it will insert it above. Or if you hover below it, it will put it below it. So far, I'm only seeing that I can go up to the top and select code, markdown, or raw, and then it'll add that when I add it. And that does take more time than when you're working in Colab. But I already do like this better than doing notebooks inside VS Code. I will say that.
But it's some kind of features that we as NaaS will not try to reinvent. We would stay close from the original Jupyter development.
Okay.
So this is the whole idea here. It's like we are not this kind of we are not coming from the valley. We are not those guys worked at Google or Microsoft or whatever. We don't want to actually reinvent the wheel. We want to take what's best. And as we were not able to take this cool UI from Google, we're going to stay with, because I agree with you, it's a cool UI. It's a nice way of putting the cells. But you do have some nice shortcuts that you can use. And maybe
basically
so some keyboard shortcut can help you out.
Excellent. That would be just fine, actually.
I guess that, when you do this enter, when you shift enter, you can trigger a cell. There is a way to add a new cell with keyboard. I guess this is existing already, Jupyter. Yeah. Cell above, keyboard shortcut. Yeah. So cell above, I don't know, new cell, Jupyter notebook. You might be able to do it. I'm pretty sure that those guys at Jupyter, they already thought about it. Control Shift.
Yeah, we'll try to figure that out offline. That's good. I mean, if there's a keyboard shortcut, that can be pretty great. And I'm noticing there's a rich context menu, like if you right click on a cell, a lot of options there.
And you have also auto fill, like if you do, if you import NaaS and then you want to run this, you can actually, I don't have any more kernels. I need to restart this kernel. And you have autocomplete. This is what I wanted to say. You have autocomplete already.
Okay.
So if you're here and you do like NaaS.scheduler, you have, you can tab and have the scheduler. You have the scheduler, the secret, the remote. You just tab it and you have the options, add, clear output, delete.
Nice.
So you can add, and you can have all the argument cron. being one, and then you can write your scheduling here.
I see what you mean. So like, even if I did, what if I was doing import NumPy as NP, and then I did NP dot, and how did you do that with NaaS? And
Yeah,
just
import, what did you say?
import NumPy as NP.
NumPy as
NP.
NP.
And then
we're gonna see that.
Oh,
so
I have
right
to
after
run
that,
it. That's
yeah, you
what
need
I'm
to
doing.
run it, so it's gonna be instantiated.
That's
so
reasonable.
NP dot. This is how you go.
And then how did you get that drop down?
Just by pushing tab.
Oh, my bad.
Pressing tab.
I'm still learning to listen. Okay, not working for me right now, but that could, oh, wait. Let me try again here. I think I might have created a problem. I don't want to waste time on it. I just, it's showing an asterisk next to my import NumPy as NP cell, but probably something I set up wrong.
Okay.
Okay, any other questions, guys? You can tell I'm super eager to start practicing with this. Okay, Jérémy, advantages, disadvantages of running the cloud NaaS versus the on-premise, on your own machine NaaS. Any advantages, disadvantages to either side?
So basically, what you don't have in a cloud, what in a local environment, is that, running those microservices means you need to like take care of them independently in your local system. Let's say you have already your Jupyter notebook installed. It's better that you like kind of use the whole installation, because we are a distribution of Jupyter notebooks inside Docker. So if you want to use it on your local machine, you need to have the whole Docker machine installed so you can have all the capabilities of NaaS inside your Docker environment. So it's a bit more complex than just using Anaconda, because you need to know Docker. That's the one thing of local installation. Then I would really say that if you have your computer like open all the time, then you can just run NaaS like this on your local machine and the scheduler will work. But sometimes your computer needs to be turned off. So this is how the cloud comes very handy. And you have dedicated resources in the cloud. What we allocate to you is dedicated resources. So you can really like separate also these two kind of resources you need to make your work done. So I guess in terms of very technical aspects, it's a bit more technical to install the notebook on your local machine, the whole NaaS project, because it needs Docker and a bit of understanding of how the microservices work, versus when you're in the cloud, it's just run like natively. And then you cannot really benefit from the potential of cloud hosted instance like this with microservices like scheduler if you are just running it on your local machine. Once you turn off your machine, your job will be stopped. So that's the only thing I can think of really, because I cannot hear whatever.
I think that's someone's background. Let me fix that for you. Okay, so real quick, Jérémy, and Dolly, thank you. I'm glad you reminded me of the questions up above. Hugo had a question. How will NaaS stay on the cutting edge in light of Stack Overflow, AutoML, AutoDL, and other publicly available notebooks in Kaggle and Medium?
So Hugo can I just ask a question on Hugo on what exactly you mean by, stay on cutting edge in the light of Stack Overflow? Meaning?
Go on ahead, Hugo.
Sure. Okay, great. So, as you know, one of the alluring factors about NaaS.ai is we're trying to sell ease. We're trying to get people to know, hey, you have templates here. You don't really need to do a lot of coding.
Oh, it's
And
very
it's the
low,
same product.
but keep
Can you hear
talking.
me?
Don't worry. It's
Can you hear
a bit from far, to be honest, but it's maybe
Oh, okay. Can you hear me?
better now.
Okay, cool. So what I'm saying is this: the business proposition, the value proposition that NaaS is offering is basically the same thing that most of these AutoML and AutoDL packages are offering. The fact that you have either pre-written code, low code, and you have some engine that you can just call some functions and then you get that you get it done. So I see that you might I don't know what it looks like, but I'm wondering what do you have on your hand? Do you have like a competition? Is it like is there a way you are trying to stay ahead with what these guys in the AutoML are doing? Even Stack Overflow, you guys that both Stack Overflow are trying to do something similar to what NaaS.ai is offering.
Yeah.
And then a couple of other people, so a lot of competition here and there. And,
yes, exactly. So
yeah.
there is a,
so
I got your point. I got your point. So you need to see NaaS as first as a catalog of templates that are ready to run in a business context. So first, it's the core of the open source project is this: how can we gather all the notebooks that are ready to use, verify that we can trust to build on top of this of those templates and like play some Legos, build with the different blocks. So when you are into, but it should run like in 2-3 seconds. You go into the repository, you click on open in NaaS, and you have this thing running in 2-3 clicks. So the basic requirement we got was, hey, we need to do this very simply and very fast. So our idea is more to cover and to like invite AutoML libraries and different kind of sources to be referenced inside the notebook, Awesome Notebook catalog, and be like, hey, if you want to run it in some kind of other instance than the NaaS instance we propose, you can run it to the Azure or the whatever other cloud. And so the idea is to be able to like gather the notebooks first, gather all those very handy notebook that Tom is using, put it there, so other people can know that, oh, they are referenced into the NaaS, the Awesome Notebook repository, and then we can use them to do our stuff. So it's really the core of the idea is this, is getting all the useful notebooks inside a coherent catalog, ready for usage. Then comes, once we gather all those templates, then we can build the engines, and the engines might not be all running in NaaS. They might be running in other kind of places, but at least the very beginning of the iteration, the templates, the way to iterate fast and give it to the business is going to be our primary way of differentiating from the rest of the notebook as a service solutions. We really want to be a shortcut and a jumpstart tool where you can actually start your thing very fast. We want to grow as an AI company, though, by enabling suggestions on what to code or what to find. We want to enable the search experience of the templates to be really native and to be like, hey, you're using this code, maybe you should try this template that can fit with your code. So we want to have some recommendation on the creator front, where once you create notebooks, when you create experience for your end users, you're assisted by AI in the same vein as what you can find for this GitHub which is auto coding your notebook with the natural language. So
Yeah,
this is one
Copilot.
front we want to deep dive into this, and we are already working with other open source projects. One has been really cool recently was Jupyter to text. You can, inside the notebook experience, you can write your query and you will have code generated directly inside the notebook. So this is an open source project. We are talking with them, and we want to integrate them inside the NaaS setup, so it's working inside NaaS. So what we want to do is really pick up the best of open source projects on different fronts to set up this environment that is ready to be used without you having to install any dependencies or take care of all the package management and all that. This is our primary focus: be able to launch the template, make it run, and have some assistant helping you out on how to develop. Then comes the decision-making aspect. And this is another game where engines need to be focused on different business line, as Dennis was saying. So engine on supply, engine on marketing, engine on sales, etc. Does that answer your question, Hugo?
Sure, it does. It does. It does.
Cool.
I was actually, when you mentioned Copilot, I just, because that's another worry. But sometimes some people think Copilot might not see the light of the day yet because of the ownership issues surrounding the use of the code.
Exactly,
And
but
that's
we want
yeah.
to do the Copilot, but for templates. Like, we could scan the
Right.
template repository and be like, hey, there is this other code that you might look at inside this template. Check this out. You may need it. So it's not about like scanning all the code. It's some kind of the guys we are talking with. They are a project in India, and they are watching a specific like repository. They don't do like this the GitHub Copilot is doing. They actually scan on code that has already been written, so they can propose you the most accurate thing based on an actual repository you can plug your system into. So this is one aspect we are making research in, but really the whole idea is to be a big catalog of notebook ready to use. It's like very simple at the end of the day. It's how can we aggregate a large amount of templates that can be useful for a lot of people in the data science space for decision-making purpose. Seems I cannot hear you, Tom.
Thank you for that. That is great about the templates, and it sounds like you welcome community creation of those templates. Is that accurate? Definitely.
So our idea, and I'm coming back to this roadmap I was showing you guys, is so if you guys are interested in this, so the idea is our strategy, we explained it very briefly in the documentation. We made some R&D on the local microservices. We launched on Production, and for a year we were bootstrapping this. So we got some pretty nice metrics out, but now our phase 2 is templates. So we want to introduce this NaaS tournament idea, where we want to empower the awesome creators that are here in the space, that are not, that they post their templates somewhere in their GitHub, but it's not centralized in a way that people can really grasp the whole ability of those guys to produce actionable templates. So everybody that is in our community, we want to empower them. So at the end of the day, what we want to build is a collaborative development factory of templates inside the Awesome Notebook repository on GitHub. So we want to encourage people to post new templates. And we, as a core team, will ensure that the template is tested, validated, and ready to use for other people that are more the consumers. So our idea is to really bridge the gap between the creators and the consumers of templates that can really find their way very nicely inside the platform. So maybe finish on this, we have identified templates that we need to build. And you can find on this templates box a big repository of things we are scoping in the field of automation, in the field of analytics, in the field of AI. And this is a big database of stuff we want to do. And we want to encourage people to like check out if they can help us doing that. Like very practical stuff, right? But can help you in data science. Like, hey, how can I like copy all these Jira issues to GitHub? Oh, I can do that by using the Jira API, create some logic to get the data, and then push it into the GitHub API. So this is as much subject. We now have identified more than 400, but we want to grow to 1,000 templates. So we see the big work that there is to cover all the basic use cases that people spend a lot of time doing by providing those templates ready to use. Because sometimes you need to always deep dive into the API, understand how it's done, etc. And there is many redoing in the data science space. You need to redo all the time all these different snippets of code. Whereas if we have everything centralized in a very nice, nicely organized repository with the right tag and the right tool, it might save us a lot of time in the future. Us as a data community. Yeah.
Yes. Well, we don't want to keep you too much longer. Jérémy, this has been amazing. I'm going to have to rewatch this. And
so
but I want to ask a couple of things before we go. A lot of us are startup centric, and we'd like to know, are you making money yet? And if so, how? And if not, how do you hope to make money in the future with NaaS?
Yes, good question. So since we started, we used the cash that we accumulated from our consulting activities because we made a good amount of money, and this enabled us to reinvest inside this open source project. So basically, we have open source our own templates. The one that we were using to make our consulting activities are now there inside the repository. So last year we still had consulting businesses, consulting gigs, but it was mostly with big corporates, and we don't want to stay in that front because it's requiring us too much bandwidth. We are only 4 people in the core team, so it was too much to develop the community and to continue doing the consulting activities. You're always eaten up by your clients in the consulting side. So once we strongly stopped doing that, we had more time to focus on the community. And right now we feel that this is the best place where we should be. Like, we really love to connect with people, encourage them to contribute, help them out on how to contribute nicely, like figuring out how to automate the contribution process so it's very nice and clean. So on this, we are not yet making money, but the whole hosted version of NaaS, this infrastructure that we have built, people that have found us has already started paying, meaning there is already companies with no sales efforts that are already paying the enterprise version because they want dedicated resources and they want to use the NaaS as it is. So we are starting to have a recurring revenue, which is interesting, but it's not covering our expenses. So we are having like 20% covered, not more, not like 20-25% of our monthly working capital needs. So there is a page for people to sponsor on GitHub. This is a way to do it. There is an hosted version that you can have the subscription. This is a way of contributing, and we are already like discussing with like third parties, like investment people, to power this whole project, because AWS has already signed up for that. They are helping us with the hosting costs. They are sponsoring it. So that's nice. So now that we slowly have sponsors from different places popping up. I went to Netflix a few weeks ago, and probably they're going to help out as well. So now I'm trying to figure out how those big companies can sponsor the whole open source project, so we can have a growing number of templates and a growing creators community. And on the consumer front, we need to have much more investment to really enable the enterprise and companies to use it at scale. So there is also a spot where we want to have fundings. So we need basically to fund those two activities, creator and consumers, so we can sustain this project in the long run. But a few months will tell us if it's still something we can dream of or not.
Nice. One final question, unless someone else has questions, forgive me, is this. How can our family help your little company get to income sooner? Just, I'm guessing, start using NaaS and share our good experiences with it, and also share feedback with your team, correct?
Yes, sharing feedback, but mostly contributing to the templates would be the best power that we could. It's not monetary, there is nothing related to that, but being mindful in like, oh, I have this template that I use for this thing, or I have this snippet of code that I use for this tool. They don't have it on this repository. Maybe I can start with the little template I can contribute. And as much as you need to understand that the whole concept is to be able to have a large amount of templates to be differentiated to other kind of notebook solution that don't have those templates ready to use inside the solution. So the key here is to, for NaaS, the key challenge is to not so much to be able to generate a lot of revenue right now. It's more on how can we actually build this collaborative development factory of notebook templates that are efficient and verified to be used in 3 seconds. Like I can just find it, click on it, and it's working. Change a few variables, and I'm ready to go. This is the only real full focus we do right now. The revenue will be a result of this dedication, and if we manage to make this template factory running at full speed, we really believe that this can, that will generate revenue at the end of the day. We will figure out how to do it at the end of the day. Excellent. Because people we use it, and yeah. So I'm glad, guys, you're welcome to contribute.
I love it that you're not worried about getting to the income right away. You're creating a community, a valuable thing. I've seen it grow over the time I've known you, and from the time you gave me the first tour, it's gotten, I was really surprised how much improvements been made. So I'm going to do everything I can to start using it and promoting it more. And then I saw the chat feature. So I'll use that to make suggestions with you guys.
Yes, too. Yes, exactly. This is what you can do. And yeah, guys, feel free to join us. There is also a Slack, and you can start on any issues you can find in our repository, and start collaborating on GitHub. We really welcome anyone. And I think it's really good things for people who are learning data science as well, to really put their hands on something that is very actionable. So, yeah.
Excellent. I'm going to just stop the recording.